Muscoy, California is a small, semi-rural community just north of San Bernardino. Known for its large lots and agricultural roots, it's home to around 10,000 residents. The area blends older ranch-style homes with newer builds and is popular for keeping horses and livestock. Though mostly residential, it has a mix of light industry and easy access to major freeways. By the summer of 1992, 8-year-old Scott Christian Echols lived with his parents and 3 of his 5 siblings on the 3500 block of Nolan Street in Muscoy. They lived in a rather run-down neighbourhood, and according to reports, the Echols family had hit hard times and were not financially well off. They didn't live in the best conditions either. However, they were extremely close-knit. Despite their circumstances, Scott was known by many in the neighbourhood and was described as an outgoing young boy who was very approachable and very friendly. In the middle of the night, in the early hours of July 26, 1992, a single knock at the front door of the residence changed the course of the Echols family's lives forever. That night, 8-year-old Scott had fallen asleep on the couch in the living room of the family's modest Muscoy home, while his parents and siblings slept in the bedroom. At approximately 2:30 a.m, someone knocked at the front door. Scott got up to answer it, and according to what is believed by the authorities, he then rode away from the house on his bicycle. He never returned. It should be noted that Scott's bicycle was never found, and he has not been seen or heard from since that fateful night. There were no signs of forced entry or any signs of a struggle at the property. Therefore, it was believed that Scott most likely left on his bike of his own volition. According to the Unsolved with Steve Gregory podcast, someone had knocked at the front door earlier that night at around 10 p.m. Scott's father was still awake, but didn't answer the door and thought nothing more of it. Quote, "His family woke up the next morning and he was missing," said San Bernardino County Deputy District Attorney Denise Yoakum in an article published by the San Bernardino Sun. Scott was reported missing 2 days later by his father, as his family had initially assumed he had run away, as he had reportedly been facing problems at school. The County Sheriff's Department immediately initiated door-to-door inquiries and distributed countless flyers throughout the neighbourhood in order to locate the missing boy. His friends at school were questioned, but no one knew of his whereabouts. Despite receiving several tips in the days and weeks that followed, none of the leads panned out. During the investigation into Scott's disappearance, it became apparent that neighbours had voiced some serious concerns regarding the family's living situation. Some told the authorities that Scott smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol, and stole bicycles around the neighbourhood. However, Scott's family firmly denied these allegations. What investigators were able to confirm was that Scott had previously been placed on probation for setting fire to an abandoned building and for missing a lot of school the year prior to his disappearance. He was also known for begging on the streets in the locality and for collecting cans with homeless people for money, another clear sign of the extremely difficult financial hardships and circumstances he and his family faced on a daily basis. It's important to keep in mind at this juncture that more often than not, children who come from troubled backgrounds or involve themselves in wrongful activities are often the most vulnerable in society and can easily be taken advantage of due to their difficult circumstances. Some believe that Scott got involved with the wrong crowd and was lured away by someone he possibly knew or came into contact with, but sadly there is no evidence whatsoever to indicate what fate befell him on the night he vanished. It should also be stated that nothing appears to have been ruled out in this particular case. What else should be noted here that is quite interesting is that it is alleged that Scott was actually afraid of the dark, so for him to leave his home in the middle of the night appears extremely unusual and completely out of character given his fear. If he was out late normally, he would often hitch a ride from complete strangers back home so that he wouldn't be out after dark. It's a small but potentially crucial detail given the circumstances. Despite the numerous complications in Scott's life, his relatives were ruled out as suspects in his disappearance. They participated in polygraph tests and passed, and fully cooperated with investigators. Authorities have emphasised that the family's economic status in no way diminished the seriousness of the search for Scott. Quote, "We just want justice for Scott and his family," Yoakum said. "The law must protect everyone equally. It doesn't matter if they are rich or poor, or where they came from." As the years have passed, unfortunately, Scott's case has gone cold. Quote, "There are no suspects, no clues. He just disappeared," Yoakum said. Even decades later, despite lack of any leads or tips to follow, retired detectives still check in on the case every now and then. Quote, "They have not forgotten Scott," she added. Scott's brother, Don Echols, describes his brother in an article published by the San Bernardino Sun and spoke of lack of any closure and how he and his family continue to search for answers to this day. Scotty was a typical boy and was very much so loved by us all. There's a void in our hearts and we as a family need to know what happened. We've never been able to actually grieve and get any kind of closure. It's been over 20 years and we still don't know what happened to him. If there's a glimmer of hope, we'll take it. This shattered all our lives. If anyone knows anything, please contact detectives. Please help us get closure. Authorities are still hopeful that someday someone will come forward with the truth. Quote, "Children don't disappear into thin air," said Yoakum. "Someone out there knows what happened to Scott and they need to come forward with that information." The National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children created a digital age progression image of Scott at age 26, in the hopes that if he is still out there alive somewhere, someone might recognise him and come forward. As of 2025, however, Scott remains missing, and his case sadly remains unsolved. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children continue to urge the public to share any information that could help solve the case. At the time of his disappearance in 1992, Scott Christian Echols was 8 years old. He is described as a Caucasian male with brown hair and brown eyes, standing at 4'3" tall and weighing approximately 70 pounds. He most notably has a scar on the left side of his lower lip. When he was last seen, Scott was wearing a Los Angeles Dodgers t-shirt and a pair of acid-washed jeans. It's unknown what else was in his possession, if anything at all. His DNA is available for comparison, but sadly fingerprints are unavailable and dental records are also unavailable, as Scott had never been to a dentist. Due to the circumstances involved, Echols' case is classed as endangered missing. If alive today, he would be turning 42 years old. Those with any information regarding the disappearance of Scott Echols are urged to contact San Bernardino County Sheriff's Office at 714-387-3573.